Have you ever spent a whole evening just browsing a shopping site trying to find the best thing? Something trivial, perhaps a lipstick, perhaps a pair of shoes. And that's a small purchase, maybe a few dollars. Now imagine trying to find the best fit candidate who is going to cost your company a significant amount of money, not just in salaries, but then in terms of the kind of work experience they bring in, the kind of productivity they will have over the next few years. Will they leave you very quickly? Perhaps you'll bring them on, and by the time they transition into the new role, they decide to start searching for another job. And what if they come in, but their style of work is really different from what you expected, or maybe their performance is not up to the mark? These are some kind of really expensive and quite disruptive repercussions that can happen when the hiring team doesn't make the right choice. And this is why the hiring team actually plays a massive role in the success of a company, because this is where your company starts. Any new person who enters your organization essentially has to travel through these gates. And the hiring analytics actually is a huge field in itself, because there are so many different steps to this workflow. So we saw that sourcing in itself is a large area, but what we are doing there is just finding out which are the candidates that meet the skill set requirement. And this is something which is really based on what the candidate chooses to tell you. And I might choose to tell you today that I'm a great singer, but believe me that my word will have little value that you would want to bet a huge amount of money on. You would want to test me before giving me a contract. And this testing, this process of pre-selection, interviews, seeing that the candidate meets not just your technical and your hard skill requirements, but is also a good fit for the organization, has the right ethics, has the right way of working, is all on the shoulders of the hiring team. So the analytics that can support this hiring team is immense. There is a wide variety of areas that they can really help with, and let's look at some of these areas. So, which candidate profile is most relevant for a job opening? You might have a job opening which says project manager, and that's it. Now, what kind of a person do I need? Do I need a person who knows project management? But there isn't one kind of project management. You will first need to understand what kind of a project is it. Is it something which is using, let's say, an agile model of management? Is it using a waterfall model? Are you working with a team that is distributed across multiple geographies? And all of these will be key inputs to help you figure out what kind of a candidate profile you need. And you will need to pull in these data points and see that what kind of past work experience, what kind of perhaps educational experience you will need to identify within these various resumes that are available to you in order to find the right fit of candidates. Now, let's say I've identified and created a short list of perhaps 10 or 20 or 30 such candidates for a single open position. How do I decide which of these employees have the right skill set? How do I validate that what they have written is correct? So not just doing this pre-selection where you are parsing a candidate's CV or really going through the skill sets that they have mentioned. You will need to finally test them on each of these skill sets that are important to you. This might be a series of interviews. This might be through a series of online or digital assessments. You might have them do a case study. You might also do this through conversations or having them come in and spend some time within your organization, just so that you can make sure that this skill set meets your expectations. Because let's say I'm looking for a computer programmer. I can test this person's programming skills. But depending on the nature of the work that I'm doing, are these programming skills advanced enough to meet my requirements? So you will not just need to validate the skill set, you might also need to pass a judgment on what is the level of proficiency this person has on this skill set. And this is only on the hard skills. What we also sometimes need to do is really make sure about the person's soft skills. So especially when it comes to senior leadership, you need to make sure that there is a high degree of cultural alignment that this person has. Let's say your organization has a really open culture. Maybe the way you're working here is extremely non-hierarchical. You have an open door policy. And now you've hired a senior leader who's come from a very, very conservative background and who doesn't like, people arguing, asking questions. This person will not just be a poor fit within the organization. They might also end up creating, situations where the team that they are working with becomes really uncomfortable, and you might actually face attrition because of this person. So it's really important for you to do selection not just basis technical skills but also softer skills, which are really I would say harder to measure and often very harder to even communicate as expectations. But let's say I've done all of that. Then there is another really important question, which is, will this employee stay with me for a long time? So, you might want to actually even pull that in as an important criteria for yourself. And during your selection process, you need to make sure that you're finding the kind of candidates who like you as much as you like them. So it's not a one-way fitment. Actually, hiring plays this really crucial role where they're also trying to see whether your organization is a good fit for this person. So while at one side we are evaluating whether this person is a good fit for us, you also need to kind of put yourself in the person's shoes and see, are you a good fit for them? Because if you're not, then you will end up hiring the wrong person who will feel unhappy within your organization and will choose to leave you in some time. Or the lack of comfort they feel might result in them just not being able to perform to their best potential. So these are some of the kind of complex questions that the hiring team deals with, and a good analytics team will be able to support them and help them in making the right decisions and set the right processes in order to answer these questions.